Welcome to Ryan's Running Reviews in partnership with Roadrunner Sports, and today we're taking a look at the brand new Adizero EVO SL from Adidas. Let's run with it. Before we get started, I do want to say that these shoes were provided to me by Roadrunner Sports. However, no one had a chance to preview this video, and this file synopsis is my own. I'd also like to say please leave a like on the video and consider subscribing. Here we go. Right off the bat, I have to say I try a ton of different running shoes, and this one here is special for a whole bunch of reasons, and I will go as far as to say this is probably my new favorite non-racing shoe or just favorite daily trainer in general because it's got all the right components. Adidas has a ton of different running shoes, and some of them actually look very similar to the EVO SL, the shoe here in front of me today, so I'll do my best to explain. Now, at the top of the Adidas lineup, you have the Pro Evo 1, which is Adidas' latest and fastest super race day shoe. Below that, you have the Adizero Pro 4, which is a more conventional racing shoe with the energy rods. It's still incredibly light, but heavier compared to the Pro Evo 1, which is technically like an ultralight racing shoe. And then finally, we have the Evo SL, which is a more conventional training shoe at $150. This thing is, I guess, partially plated. Some people might not consider it plated, mainly because you only have a nylon shank in the middle of the shoe. I'll put a picture on the screen so you can see exactly what I'm talking about. It does stiffen things up quite a bit, but nowhere near as stiff or as rigid compared to a shoe with a full-length plate or energy rods or anything like that. You just have, again, that nylon shank directly in the middle of this midsole. The EVO SL is a all-around training shoe that can also push the pace very easily. It's not as aggressive compared to Adidas top-tier racing shoes, which makes sense, but it keeps a lot of the same kind of top-tier qualities, which I absolutely love, especially because this shoe comes in at $150. I really don't think there's another shoe at this price point that can compete, which is why I think I love this so much, on top of it just being a fun shoe. Now, as far as the stats go, this shoe only weighs 7.9 ounces, which is really good. Has a rather unique stack height with 38.5 millimeters in the heel and 32 in the forefoot for a 6.5 millimeter drop. I wish they kind of just pushed it to 40 millimeters. Not sure why they didn't, but either way, I think this has a great level of cushioning for long runs and is light enough if you really, again, want to push it for that speed work. We have to talk about the midsole. It's a Light Strike Pro from heel to toe, all the same kind, no dual density, nothing like that. According to Adidas, it's the same kind or very similar to what we saw on the Pro 3, which is one of their top tier racing shoes. So essentially we get an elite midsole on a $150 daily trainer. There is no plate, like I mentioned. You just have that nylon shank directly in the middle that helps the shoe to keep from twisting, gives you a bit more stability, and kind of helps manage the rather large midsole foam. You do have a decent amount of flex in the forefoot because there is no stiffening element towards kind of the front quarter or front third. However, I will say the shoe feels fairly stiff, and I didn't feel like it was overly flexible. Now, if you're not familiar with Light Strike Pro, it's a TPE foam. It's on the firmer side of things. It's very resilient. It's not overly mushy, and I actually really like it. It performs very well for me. We have a nice level of energy return. It gives you a decent amount of stability as well. It doesn't feel overly mushy or squirrely, and like I said before, just has a nice level of bounce to it. One other thing I want to point out is the rocker geometry is very noticeable. It rolls you along fairly quickly. However, this geometry has been toned down just a bit compared to their racing shoes, which I believe have a more aggressive rocker shape to them. Like I said at the start of this video, I love this option mainly because of how versatile it is. You can pretty much take it on any run you want. I had no problem going fast. It's almost like they took a top-tier racing shoe, made it more manageable, and didn't lose all that much fun. It's just an enjoyable option to run in. And honestly, I know there's a lot of thicker, softer shoes out there, but this midsole punches well above its stack height. It felt like plenty of cushioning for me. And just with the overall platform that they've designed here, just provide a very smooth, fun, and pleasant experience for pretty much any run I wanted to go on. Moving on to the upper, they kept it simple. It does fit true to size, and I was actually surprised by the amount of volume here. It's fairly accommodating through the midfoot and toe box. If you like a more snug fit on your up-tempo trainers, this might not be for you. I did have a few issues of making some very tight turns or cuts. You had a little bit of sliding and it felt slightly unstable. I think it's partially because of the midsole. so I would keep that in mind. The heel counter is very stiff and rigid with a light amount of padding. The tongue is not gusseted. I wish they would. You do have to take some time to get it situated to stay flat. There are some light foam blocks towards the top of the tongue to help with lace pressure protection. It gets the job done, and you have some very flimsy shoelaces. The mesh material is basically see-through, almost akin to what we see on some racing shoes. It's basically a 10 out of 10 breathability, and then you have a fairly robust toe guard at the top. Overall, I thought the lockdown and comfort of this upper were pretty much spot on. The only minor complaints I have were the tongue not being gusseted and there being a little bit of movement on very tight and quick turns. Moving to the bottom of the shoe, we have strategic continental rubber on the outsole. One thing I want to point out is on the lateral part of the toe box area, you have exposed foam. I don't know if this is to partially save weight or to let the foam expand in this particular area. Didn't cause an issue for me, and it just depends on your foot strike pattern, but for me, again, no issue whatsoever. The traction pattern is incredibly smooth, almost like a race car tire, and they have these kind of little cutouts in here to help if you're running over wet surfaces. For me, I did a little bit of running in some light rain and didn't have an issue, but you do have almost kind of like a race day outsole traction pattern here. At the end of the day, this is my #1 new favorite training running shoe because they did the basics right, and I hope more companies follow in their footsteps. You get a top tier super foam midsole at $150. The shoe only weighs 7.8 ounces. You have a decent amount of room in the upper with a very breathable upper, and the lockdown is solid. Yes, the tongue maybe could be a little bit better and it's slightly precarious on tight turns, but that's a small price to pay for a shoe that's this much fun. Some people may find the midsole a touch firmer than they want for a super foam, but for me, I think it works quite well. And maybe one other small comment is, yes, there are more aggressive up-tempo trainers out there that have a full length plate. So if you're someone who wants maybe a super fast training option, then you might want to go in a different direction. But for me, this kind of just checked all of the boxes. And if I can only pick one shoe to run in for the remainder of the year or maybe next year, it would probably be this one. So let me know down in the comments what you think of the Adidas EVO SL. Is it something that you're looking forward to trying, or do you want to go in a different direction? I would love to hear from you. I'm Ryan from Ryan's Running Reviews, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Thanks.